channel, Glow with Candace, and if you're new here, welcome. I'd love to see you back, so hit the subscribe button down below to see future videos like this and more by me. Today, we're actually going to be doing an unboxing, a review, and then showing you how I did this eye look with the new Lorac Pro Soleil eyeshadow palette. And I googled how to pronounce Soleil because it's spelt weird. It's actually a French word, so hopefully I am saying it right and Google didn't tell me wrong. I know I say things wrong all the time, so I just wanted to make sure, like, just an FYI, if you don't already know this, I pronounce things wrong all the time, and in fact, my husband corrects me all the time, and I'm just like, whatever. I know I probably look like a fool to some people, but it is what it is. So I'm sorry, you guys can laugh with me or you can think I'm an idiot, I don't know. So if I do mispronounce things, that is why. If you're wanting to see how I feel about this palette, swatches, and see how I did this eye look, stay tuned. I'm super excited to go over this unboxing and review and swatches and everything about this Soleil eyeshadow palette from Lorac. I legitimately was debating back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Do I get this? Do I not? Do I need it? Probably not. But I also had a hard time deciding, do I get the Soleil or do I get the Noir? I think both are absolutely beautiful. And I was like, well, I think I would use more of the colors in the Soleil than I would the Noir. But honestly, I think both are beautiful. I didn't need both. I probably didn't need this one either, but I absolutely love Lorac eyeshadow palettes, and I haven't bought one in a while, and this one just kind of sang to me, and I almost tried to talk myself not to get it, but I just couldn't help myself. So I'm so excited to unbox this with you guys, show you guys swatches, see how they look. I know Lorac used a different formula with these palettes, so I'm excited to see if I'm gonna still like the formula and if I'll be happy with it, because I love Lorac eyeshadow. And honestly, I love their highlighter too. Like, I love both their highlighter and their highlighter and their eyeshadow is just amazing. So I'm excited to see if I like this new formula and show you guys how it looks. Also, as you can see, I am in my robe, nice and comfortable. It is the morning here still. Don't worry, I have clothes underneath my robe. But I'm nice and bundled, and I have my cup of coffee. And so if you are watching this in the morning, have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee with me, and go over this. Of course, I had to look up what Soleil meant because I obviously couldn't pronounce it, so I needed to figure out how to pronounce it and what it meant. And it is a French word and it means sun. And then Noir is also a French word and that means like black or darkness. So if you think you need, when there is darkness, there is light. So in the two palettes, you can definitely see a difference. I wouldn't say Noir is like black, but it's darker in shades. I bought the Lorac Pro Soleil eyeshadow palette from Ulta for $35, and you can also buy it on the Lorac website. This is the outside packaging. I think it's very, very Lorac. I feel like they have a lot of just dark outer packagings. And you know, it's kind of cool how the theme goes with darkness and light, and it's dark and then you see the shimmer of the light here. That's pretty nice. And then on the back, it shows you, you know, just a small palette of the colors. Also too, a fun perk about this palette is apparently all the little color palettes are interchangeable with a key that comes inside the box. So when I opened up the box, there was this little black thing on the side, kind of like so, and I just pulled it out and there's a little key fob right here. So make sure when you get this and you purchase it, if you want to change the organization of the palette, make sure that you pull this out before throwing the box away. And you keep the key and put it in a safe spot. So here is the outside packaging of the product, and it correlates with the outer box packaging. So it's nice and black with a reflected Soleil, referring to the sun with this bright kind of color. I open it up and it has the names of everything. It has this mirror and the names of everything right in here. It's not on the back of this palette, it's right in here. Oh, and it folds multiple times. what? So I unfold it once, and this is what it does. And I think these are the little key fobs here that you stick the little key fob into, I guess, push out the little color palette, I guess, the little color square. Oh, so so this is actually just a piece of paper that's stuck and taped in here. So I'm gonna remove that. I'm also gonna be careful removing it because I think I might tape it on the back side so I keep the color names. So I just removed this and it has little stickers, and I'm just gonna put it on the back of the palette so I can keep the names, because that's something I really like to look at. Especially when I'm explaining like eye tutorials for you guys, I like to be able to tell you the names so you pick the right color while also pointing out to it. You guys, this is beautiful. So look at this. Look at these beautiful colors. So you have these matte colors here, and then you have some shimmers, and it looks like a little bit of a glimmer, like glittery color there. Oh my goodness, this is just beautiful. I love how it's split half and half because I love shimmers and glitters, but I also love matte colors too. So I'm just gonna go through the names and starting from here and working across and then going to the next row and then so forth, okay? So we have warm vanilla, pink beige, nectar, opal, soft pearl, aurora, sand dune, Morocco, cinnamon, quartz, mirage, desert rose, red cedar, saffron, ash brown, mojave, warm honey, and ephora. One thing I also want to make note of is I know since there's like multiple foldings of this eyeshadow palette, it's really sturdy and isn't just gonna flop open. Like look, I'm dangling it, shaking it. Oh, well, I shook that one really hard. But as you can see, I had to like forcefully, if you're just holding it, it's not gonna just plop open. So holding it, you know, when you're doing your looks and like looking through it, it's not gonna just fall. So I really like that it's sturdy and it's not just gonna fall. It did that because I was like literally shaking it super hard and like waving it. But look, I'm like flopping this and shaking it and it's not doing it. So I just wanted to let you guys know, because I know that was kind of a concern with me with how many foldings that it has, that it actually isn't just gonna flop open. I don't think I'm gonna be rearranging this. It doesn't make sense to me why you would want to. But if you are that kind of person who wants to and doesn't like the layout of this, what you do is you flip this down and you see these little key fob holes. You then just take this and put it in the hole and push it out. I'm not gonna be doing that though, because I don't want to break any of these colors or have them shatter. Just make sure when you're doing this, because obviously if I hold it like this and I put the key fob and I'm doing it like this, the palette's gonna fall down, the eyeshadow palette color, and fall down and hit the ground. So make sure if you're doing this, you do it in a delicate way and you're careful. I would suggest holding it maybe like this and popping it up so that way it just comes up a little bit and you can pull it out. You guys, I am loving these colors and I'm super excited to swatch these for you and tell you how I feel about the formula, about the new formula, if I think it's nice or if it's similar or better even, which I don't know how you could do that, but it's possible. So let me swatch this for you guys and I'll show you how they look. These are the swatches. I am so sorry how crooked they are. But as you can see, I almost ran out of room. It is crazy how much space it took up. But I will say these shimmers are absolutely gorgeous, super pigmented, buttery, and so reflective. Absolutely gorgeous. I will say the matte colors aren't as, it's a different formula than the shimmers, okay? It's not as buttery. There is pigmentation, but it's not as pigmented as the shimmers, as you can tell here. And they're pretty colors. I just think you'll need to apply a little bit more to get that pigmentation payoff, and we'll see more once I apply. So I'm just gonna go through and name all the names. So over here we have warm vanilla, pink beige, nectar, opal, Soft Pearl, and Aurora. The second row, we have Sand Dune, Morocco, Cinnamon, Quartz, Mirage, Desert Rose, and then the last row, we have Red Cedar, Saffron, Ash Brown, which I feel like out of all of the matte colors, this one is probably the most pigmented. As you can see, it just swatched really well. And then we have Mojave, Warm Desert, or excuse me, Warm Honey, and Ephora. So these are beautiful. I love the swatches, particularly the shimmers. Some of the matte colors, I'm just a little like, you know, are they, you know, how pigmented are they gonna be when applying? But I love the shimmers so far. The best way to tell though is of course to apply these. So let's go ahead and do an eye look with this palette, and then I'll give you the final thought on this palette. To prime my eyelids, I'm just gonna use concealer today since I don't need super longevity. I'm just using the Maybelline Age Instant Rewind Concealer. I've been talking about this product a lot in my last few videos, and that's just because this is my go-to concealer and I absolutely love it. Dark Circle Eraser Formula. Yes, if you deal with that, I highly recommend this product. Now that I put concealer on my lids, I'm now gonna set this with the lightest shade in the eyeshadow palette. Typically, I like to use my setting powder, of course for longevity of eyewear, but since I'm trying to show you guys as many colors as I can in real-time use, I'm just gonna use one of the lightest shades in the palette. I'm gonna go in with Warm Vanilla since it's the lightest shade, and I'm just gonna use that to set this concealer. The brushes I'm gonna be using today are actually from an Ipsy bag that I got super long time ago, and they're Farah brushes. They're very beautiful. Look how it's like crystallized and really pretty. My brushes are stained. They have not been deep cleaned this month yet. I usually do that at the end of the month. So I will say though, there is no pigmentation. I have an awesome cleaning device that I go through and I am able to clean off all the pigmentation, like leftover little bits. So that way I'm not transferring different colors when using different colors. So even though it's stained, I promise I'm not gonna get any of that pigmentation on my eye look today. I'm just going in with this blending brush and I'm just gonna put it all around the eye there. You know what? Just already starting, this is so smooth and easily blendable. Like, I'm actually super, like, just with that little bit, it was so smooth. I know I just started, but I'm actually already super satisfied. I'm like, wow! And you can't even notice the difference, but I love how smooth it is. You guys, oh, so blendable. So, like, of course the matte colors felt dry, but at the same time, they're so like buttery smooth, if that makes sense, for blending. So you know in this look, I'm gonna be using those shimmers because they are phenomenal. But of course, I also wanna play with the mattes as well. And I kinda wanna play with some of the colors that I feel like didn't swatch as pigmented. So I'm actually gonna go in with this Red Cedar color, this one right over here. And I'm gonna go in with the same blending brush that I just cleaned off. Honestly, I feel like it's more pigmented on the brush than it was in my swatch, so that's really reassuring. Wow, so I was a little worried, but look at that. Look how pigmented that is. The swatches of the matte ones obviously don't give it the true test because look how pigmented it is and super soft to blend. Like this is so, I I forgot how, I haven't worn my Lorac eyeshadows in a while, and I forgot how easy they are to work with. Like, this is way too easy. Like, oh, I forget how nice they are. You guys, I'm loving this. I do not, oh my gosh. This is only the second color and I'm super happy. You guys are like, wow, you are crazy to already be like, oh, I love this. But so far, I'm super happy with what I'm working with. I think this saffron is absolutely gorgeous and I love, it reminds me of like Red Rock in Arizona or somewhere in that. I can't even say Arizona. I've never even been to Arizona and I'm saying, oh, it reminds me of Red Rock in Arizona. I don't even know if that's where I've seen pictures of. So I really shouldn't say that because obviously I don't know what I'm talking about. But it reminds me of like Red Rock that you would see in maybe those deserty areas. So I find this just very beautiful. So I'm gonna put a little bit on and I'm gonna go in with a flat end brush and pat it on kind of the outside on my lid there. Wow, and I was scared that these matte formulas were not gonna be very pigmented by how they swatched, and look how pigmented that is. Oh my goodness, so I'm gonna go in with this now. You guys, that saffron color, I am loving. It is beautiful, super pigmented. So far, I'm not having trouble with getting pigmentation with my brushes. So the swatches obviously do not mean anything for the matte colors. I'm gonna blend these two colors in together and I'm going in with that same blending brush. I wanna add a little bit more darker brown, so I'm gonna go in with ash brown. I will say that's probably the only bummer about this palette is this is probably the darkest color in the palette, and that's why I was kind of debating between this palette and Noir. Like, I liked how there were a couple different dark colors in that palette, and I'm gonna go in with the same blending brush that's been cleaned off to use that brown. And I wanna go in the corner over here on both sides. I'm also going in super lightly because this one is really pigmented and of course dark. With a little bit more red cedar since it got a little lost when I applied this brown, and I'm just gonna put it barely on the corner there so I get that nice transition. And I'm gonna go in with the same blending brush that was just cleaned off. All right, before I get into the shimmers, I wanna use one more matte color, and I want to use it kind of like right in this inner area where I haven't really applied a whole lot of color yet. I think I'm gonna go in with Sand Dune right here. And I'm gonna use the flattened brush to do so. Now, let's dive into the part I'm super stoked about, which is some of these shimmer colors. I don't even know where to begin because I'm in love with all of them. I'm gonna go with Desert Rose, which is this color right here. And I kind of want to go into this outer part of my eyelid, kind of where I put the, it wasn't red cedar, it was saffron, where I put the saffron to kind of go with that red look. I'm gonna be going in with a flat end brush to do this. I'm noticing not a whole lot comes out on the brush like it did on my finger. So I'm gonna put this on and see, obviously I'm not expecting a whole lot of payoff, but I'm thinking this might be application best with your finger. There is a little bit, but I think if you're just wanting to put a tiny bit on, I think with your brush is probably best. But if you want more, I'm thinking the finger is probably where it's at. So I'm actually now gonna go in with my finger and do it to this side and just show you guys the comparison. And then of course I'll probably add my finger to this side after the fact. Like, look how pigmented this is on my finger. Beautiful, so much pigmentation. So I'm gonna apply this to this side and just show you guys the difference. Oh yeah, that is just a lot more payoff and a lot more glitter. So if I'm gonna zoom in a little closer so you guys can see the difference. So as you can see, I did get glitter on this side, it just wasn't as much. So if you're wanting just a tiny bit, and maybe it's just that color, because I noticed like that color is a little bit more clunky than the other shimmers. So I'll go in with some other shimmers and play around and see, but so far I'm noticing that your finger may be the best application for those shimmers. Notice in the palette that this Desert Rose is a little bit more clunky than, let's say, this color over here, which is Mirage. Like, you can see how it's not as clunky. So this one over here has that kind of clunkiness to it, and then over here I will say this also does too, and then these other ones are a little bit different in consistency. I'm gonna go in with Soft Pearl next, since it's a little bit different in consistency for shimmers, and I'm gonna go in a little bit more to the inner part, kind of in the middle-ish, I guess, and see how that transfers on brush versus finger. I'm going in with the same flat end brush that's been wiped off. So this did come off a little bit better on the brush, not as pigmented as some of the mattes, but it did come off a little bit better than that Desert Rose. So that came off pretty well with the brush. Now I'm gonna try with my finger on the other side and see how that comes off. This almost feels like the consistency of their highlighters, which I love, so buttery and soft. I feel like there's a little bit more payoff on this side with my finger than with the brush. So I think if you're trying to go for a lighter shimmer look, use the brush. And if you're wanting more payoff in shimmer, I would use your finger. So lastly, I'm gonna go in with Opal here, this pretty color, and it has the same kind of consistency, like clunkiness as Desert Rose here. Crazy with the shimmer than I wanted to, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys the different consistencies and the brush technique and different formulas of the shimmers. So now what I want to do, I want to tone down my shimmer just a little bit, just because I went a little crazy with it and I didn't want it this shimmery. So I'm gonna add a little bit more matte to it and kind of tone it down a bit. Liking the effect it's giving my glitter. Like, you can still see this shimmer, but a little bit more of that color is coming through, which I really wanted. So that's another food for thought too. If you want some shimmer, like, layer it and do different layers to get that color to come through. Now I'm just gonna blend this all together so it doesn't look so off. Like, it looks like it blends well together and transitions nicely. And I'm gonna go in with a blending brush to do this. Alright guys, I have finished my eyeshadow look and I'm gonna go put the rest of my makeup on off camera. I finished putting on the rest of my makeup, and so here I'm gonna show you guys the finished and final look of the Lorac Pro Soleil eyeshadow palette. Honestly, I love this palette. Did I need it? Probably not, but I really was intrigued, and two, I really wanted to see if this new formula is something that I really like, and honestly, I love it. I was a little worried with swatches, I will admit, just because of those matte colors, the way that they were swatching, they weren't as pigmented, but as soon as I put them on the brush, I tell you what, they were beautifully pigmented, blended super easily. The shimmers, like I went over with you guys, if you want just a little bit of the shimmer, then just use a brush. Otherwise, use your finger for a more pigmented shimmer look. If you've never purchased from Lorac before, I definitely think this is a great palette to purchase and buy and play with because you will not be disappointed. It is so beautiful. It's a fun little thing too that you can rearrange the palette with that key fob. I'm not gonna do it. I don't have a need to do it. I like how it's divided like that, but it's a fun little feature that if you want to, you have that option. I like how it's not overly big either, and it's just a beautiful array of colors. It's only $35, so it's a great price. It's not super high price, but it's not also low, so it's kind of like the middle range for an eyeshadow. And I forgot how much I love their eyeshadows. Like, I really need to dip back into some of my other stuff that I've bought from them because honestly, their palettes are just so beautiful and they blend so nicely, and I just love Lorac. And to stick with the theme, I used blush from Lorac today. My highlighter I used from Lorac, so like I went on a Lorac vibe today. But I really do like this palette. I will say the only thing I'm not a big fan of is there's only one dark color in the palette, that one brown, because when you open it up, most of them aren't dark. Like, you only have really the one. If you're trying to do like smoky looks, this is really the only dark color. And that's why I was interested in Noir when I was looking at both the palettes, because Noir had more dark colors, and I like having more options. So that's the only downfall to this palette, I will say, is I wish there was like another kind of brown or maybe like a darker like burgundy color in here that you could easily do more smoky eye looks with. That is the one thing that I wish that they would have included, but other than that, it is just a beautiful palette, and I am super happy I purchased it. If I really wish I could buy Noir as well, but guys, I really don't need both. But if one of you do end up buying it, please comment down below, let me know how you like the palette. Now, the one thing about Noir is there is only one row of mattes, all the rest are shimmer, and that's another reason why I decided not to go with it. But they do have a little bit more darker colors, so if that's what you're looking for, then that might be the palette for you. But at the same time, you're gonna get a lot more shimmers. And these colors are just a beautiful scheme. I really do love it, and you could probably use some of these shimmers as highlighters too, just because they remind me so much of their highlighters. Just super buttery, super pigmented, like just really pretty. I didn't use them today, obviously, as a highlighter, but I definitely think you could possibly even try and get away with that. So do I think you should purchase this? Yes and no. I mean, there are a lot of colors that you could probably find in other palettes that you own. I think For beginners and people who are just learning how to do eyeshadow looks, I think Lorac is a great place to start because they have a lot of neutral colors. And not only that, but they're super easily blendable. So I think that this kind of palette is great for beginners. And this would be great for somebody who is just beginning and they're playing around and they're just trying to figure out how to do looks, because this gives you a great assortment of different shades of brown, and then also the shimmers too. So I really think that this would be great for someone just starting out. If you're somebody who already has a lot of these colors, then probably not. For me, I was really intrigued and I thought the colors were beautiful, and of course the shimmers just spoke to me. I feel like the formula is the same, if not a little bit better, so definitely pleased with that, and I'm not disappointed. One fun thing I also just discovered, which I feel ridiculous and not knowing, I was playing with this key and I just kind of threw it to the side and it stuck to the bottom of the palette, and I was like, what the heck? So it's magnetic. So that's why too, it's pretty solid when shutting and it doesn't flap open, is because the palette down here is magnetic. So look at that. So if you are trying to keep the key and not lose it, like, I think it could work pretty well, and just keep it attached. Because I was wondering, where the heck are you gonna keep the key and not lose it? But you could still lose it if it falls off of you know, the palette, if you keep it with all your other palettes. So I still think you should put it in a safe place. Thanks for stopping by with Glow with Candace. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up down below. And if you're new here and you want to see future videos like this and more by me, hit the subscribe button down below. I'd love to see you back on my channel. But until next time, bye!